Good morning, my wonderful friends. Megas with you on a beautiful day in Osh. And today's message I'm so excited about, but I'm actually a little overwhelmed by it because I see the importance of it. I want to share a quick story with you before we get into it. It's about a heart transplant patient. She was an 8-year-old girl, and she got the transplant from a 10-year-old girl that had been murdered in their small town. And after the transplant, the young girl every night started having nightmares. And so her parents took her to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist noticed that these are memories. And so they brought in the authorities, and she was able to give the exact experience of how the girl she got the heart transplant from was murdered. And she was having these nightmares of being chased, being assaulted, and then the man's face that she's looking at and the words he's saying. And so they drew out the man's face and they wrote down what had happened and where it took place. And they were actually able to arrest the man. And as they told him the exact words he said, he admitted to it. And my friends, that was passed in memory from the heart. And today's message, I'm going to try to show you the power of your heart. And my friends, I've seen, things that would blow your mind in my own life. In that heart of hearts, in spirit, I've been able to see things before they happen to save a life. I've been able to warn people because I saw in my heart of hearts a vision that there was going to be an accident. And I told them, today, don't go do this. Don't get on that tractor. Don't go for that car ride, because I saw a horrible tragedy taking place. And I see it like a vision in my mind, a movie taking place. And later they'd call me and say, how did you know? There was an accident and I didn't go. And my friends, I've shared over these years many stories with you guys, but we have infinite intelligence and wisdom that we can connect to that doesn't make sense, right? We've talked about with Einstein and Tesla, their genius ideas didn't come from a teacher or a book. They tapped in to that inner wisdom, to that field that we can all tap into. And it's amazing what science is finding right now, that the neurons, of course we have neurons in our brains, but there's neurons in our hearts, and then there's neurites, like little antennae that go out and they connect, and they're looking for that connection. And here's what's blowing my mind. They can connect within your own body, but they can connect outside of your body. And I'm going to show you how far this goes. But they're doing studies right now. So, in computers, the chips, they use silicon, but that's very limited. So now they're experimenting with water, and they're finding that they could, all the information they're putting in that little water chip, it didn't make sense. There's no way that it could hold as much information as they're putting into it. And they realized that it was actually storing the memory outside of itself. And my friends, we have receptors, those neurites in us, they can go out and receive information outside of ourselves. Or the Magi have known this for 2,600 years, but science is actually able to show it now, and we can see it with our eyes, and we're beginning to understand how amazing this world is and how amazing our hearts are. My friends, I don't know if you saw my video, Developing Your Psychic Ability, but I could do things like, I'll take 3 cards, put a dot on the bottom, and I could find which card had the dot. Or an experiment I did many years ago, there's a missing child, and I just went into spirit and I pinpointed what state they were in. And there's so much you can do with this as we develop this heart level. But as I get into this part here, my friends, because this is the heart of our message here of Zoroastrianism, I'm a little concerned. I don't want the people that need to hear this message right now to shut me off. So I'm going to ask you, I know my longtime followers will listen to me, but I want this message to get to the person that doesn't know this yet. And so as I say some of these things, please don't just turn this off. Listen to it with an open mind and then make a decision, an educated decision. But our hearts, my friends, are so powerful. It gives us a direct connection to God. And we talked about this before with the Hashem Vohu prayer. This is a great example. We taught on this just yesterday. The Hashem Vohu prayer, it talks about, one, connecting with God, the all-good Spirit. Two, connecting with all of our brothers and sisters that have come before us and that are here now and that will come after us. And then connecting to all the holy prayers that have ever been uttered and ever will be uttered. How do we do that? We do that with our hearts, my friends. That's how we make that connection. And we can hear from God in our heart of hearts, in our spirit. We can connect with the magi of old, the masters of old, from our heart of hearts. We can tap into that infinite wisdom and power. And I'm going to share a quick story with you because it's one of the most powerful that affected my life. And so my old time followers, please stay with me. This is for the new guys. And I'm going to get to something powerful here. But many, many years ago, I had a feeling that something was off. And I knew it had to do with my children. And so I warned everybody, my parents, my ex-wife, something's going on. They know I have this gift. I have this intuition, and it's always been right. And so even though my ex-wife wasn't a huge fan of mine, she was listening and watching. And after a few weeks, I was in that place between awake and asleep, and in vision, Spirit took me to the bottom of my wife's driveway, and he had me stand there. He told me to put up a shield of faith, and then he gave me words to speak. And long story short, later my wife called me that day and said, "You wouldn't believe what happened. My son was going down the driveway on his scooter, and it was going to go out into traffic, and there was a car coming, and she knew it was going to be bad, and he bounced off of an invisible wall, just stopped him instantly. Didn't make sense in the natural." And the reason I want to share this with you, because through our heart of hearts, through our spirits, we have connection to God. And do you know what? God is omnipresent. Okay, he's omnipotent, all powerful, and by me connecting with that, it gave me those attributes. I was able to go through time and space into the future to the bottom of my wife's driveway. He gave me power to put up a shield of faith. He gave me the omniscience to know what's going on and what to do and the words to speak. My friends, we have that God power inside of us that we can tap into. And since then, I've used that to help save other people's lives by opening myself to Spirit, to my heart of hearts, and giving people these warnings. Don't go there. Don't do this. Watch out for that. Do this. This is good. Go this way. Because I'm tapping in to that God mind, the Christ mind. What is the Christ mind? It's that you and God are one. He wants you to live in power and protection and blessings in this earth, but you have to align with it. And here's the rub right here, my friends. And this is where I don't want to lose the new people following me and listening to this right now, because it's going to rub you the wrong way, but it's what you need to hear. One, we need to trust our hearts. And my friends, I went to Bible college, and my whole life I've studied the Bible. I know it inside out. This is my grandpa's Bible. He was never without this, and I keep it because it reminds me of him. But my friends, I've discovered some amazing good things in this, but I discovered some things that are not good. And please don't leave me. I promise you, you'll be glad you heard this. And if anything, at least you'll be able to make an educated choice for yourself, not something that was just passed on to you from your parents or society or where you were born in the world, but you're making a decision from your heart of hearts of who God is and what he means to you and who you are. And my friends, for us to connect from our heart of hearts to the heart of God, we have to know who God is, and Zoroastrianism was the original monotheistic religion, and they taught an all good God. Now, out of Zoroastrianism branched off Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and they changed the idea of God. They added attributes to him that aren't his, such as now their God could hate, he could get jealous, he could war and kill, he could go and kill men, women, and children, and just things that from the original monotheistic religion were impossible, because good spirit couldn't do evil spirit things. And now I was finding, as I went to Bible college, things in Isaiah that says that God sends good and evil, sends health and sickness. It brings confusion. Who's the good spirit? Who's the evil spirit? And then they're talking about in Bible college that the devil can trick you by trying to appear as light and do good. So now you got two forces that can do good and evil. And then here they have a God that goes in and kills men, women, and children. There's just horrible stories I'm going to share with you just quickly. Stay with me, please, because you probably have never heard this. The story of Jephthah. He told Jehovah, if I go in and kill my enemies, slaughter them all, men, women, children, animals, the whole thing, and I'm victorious, I'll sacrifice the first person that walks out of my home when I get home. He was victorious. When he got home, his daughter came out of the house singing and dancing. Daddy's home, Daddy's alive. And he offered her up as a burnt sacrifice to the Lord. How is that good spirit? And it said the Jewish people for thousands of years honored Jephthah as a man of honor because he kept his word to God. He went in, killed men, women, and children, and then slaughtered his daughter, and he celebrated as a hero. As I started seeing stories like this, it rocked my world. This was not the God that in my heart of hearts I knew. And do you know what they told me? They said you can't trust your heart. It's written in the Bible that your heart is deceptive and it lies. My friends, how can you ever connect to God in your heart if you don't trust your heart? And your heart's telling you that idea of what Jephthah did. How about Moses? He's the hero of the Bible. He told him to go and kill the men, women, and children, and the soldiers couldn't do it. They killed the men, but they couldn't kill the women and little babies and children. It was wrong. And Moses said, how dare you question me? Kill them now. And he made the soldiers kill the women and children before him. And that's their heroes of this Bible. That's their good God. And my friends, I struggled because I was scared. I didn't want to go to hell. I was raised the same way you probably were here in the West. You don't question the Bible. You don't question God. But my friends, I was so grateful. In my heart of hearts, I was hearing from God, and he was leading me towards the Magi. In the book of Matthew, there's just so little mentioned about the Magi, the ones who came and worshiped the Christ and followed the light. It said when the Messiah was born, the Jewish people were afraid. But you know what? The Magi, the Zoroastrian priest, came and worshiped him, gave him gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And I thought, you know what? I want to know what they knew. And I started reading all their text. And I found out it's the original monotheistic religion. They taught a loving Father. And Jesus taught the loving Father. Jesus taught not to kill your enemies, but to love your enemy. Remember, we talked about this when James and John said, let's call down fire from heaven like Elias did on the people that didn't receive their message. Jesus said, you don't know what spirit you are of. Well, then what spirit was Elias of? What spirit was Moses of? What spirit were those people in these stories here of if they were killing and these horrible atrocities? My friends, it made me have to start to think, and I quit Bible study, and I went to my heart of hearts, and I trusted it, and it's never let me down. And I'll tell you what happens, those Nerites, they go out and they connect with what you're open to, and I was open to God. I said, God, I need you, okay, because what I'm reading in the Bible isn't making sense to my heart. It's not even making sense to my mind. I mean, if you saw these things on the news today, Jephthah doing that, or Moses doing that, you would say murder, killers, horrible. my friends. Even our brains know better, and our hearts definitely know better. And I opened myself and I said, God, I need you. I can't find you through books, through preachers, through churches. Come save me. And my God, he did. And he connected, and my neurites and heart connected to his, my friends, and connected to my brothers and sisters and the magi of old and those to come, and all the prayers. And now, my friends, I started to have this oneness with God, good. And it's so simple now. Love is love. Good is good, and is completely separate from the evil spirit. There's no more mixture. No longer a God that hates, wars, kills, jealous, destroys, and an evil spirit that can do good and tricky. No, they're completely separate. There's good or there's bad. There's love or there's hate. There's peace or there's war. And my friends, what happens, how they control you and keep you bound in the matrix, is they flipped everything upside down. They have a God good that does bad. They've made the light into darkness, and they've made the peace out of war, and just things that are impossible, and it brings confusion and keeps you bound. And then they tell you, whatever you do, don't meditate, don't go inside, don't trust your heart, don't try to hear from God because you might get deceived by a devil. And that's what people have told me. I've come to this enlightenment of this all good spirit, that God came to me personally and using these gifts for good to save lives and do good. And they tell me I've been deceived by a devil. Why? Because I teach a God that's all good and love and can't hate, war, and kill. And my friends, it's just those people, they're scared. They've been deceived. They've been brainwashed. And it doesn't matter if it's the Bible, the Quran, wherever they're born in the world, the matrix religions and society and governments have them bound. There's energies out there that you can choose to connect to. And as I'm saying this, I hope you're thinking, I want to connect to the true God, the true good, the true unconditional love, the loving Father of the Magi and of Jesus. My friends, it's possible for you today, but you have to quiet all the many thoughts and ideas and stories. From the age 0 to 7, you're in what they call a theta state, and everything that's fed to you becomes your truth. It's how you survive in this world. And so it is your parents and grandparents and preachers and leaders in society tell you something's true, that becomes your truth. Even though it goes against your heart and your head, you'll hold on to those things. But my friends, you can break free today. If you're not happy with where you're at, if something inside of you says this isn't right, my friends, you can do what I did and say, God, maybe you're scared. Maybe I'm scared right now because I was told of the horrible things if I question the Bible, the Gita, the Quran, or whatever book you feel is your book, your religion. Maybe you're scared, but just say, God, I'm open to hear truth from you. Please reveal yourself to me. And my friends, he will run to you. Matter of fact, he's all around you right now. Matter of fact, he's inside of you right now. Matter of fact, he is you right now. All you have to do is open up to it. Realize you come from good spirit. You're made of good spirit. You'll return to good spirit. There's a divine spark of Fravashi in your heart, my friends, and it's guiding and leading you home. And as you hear words like this, it resonates and you say, yes, 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 I am one with that all good God. That's the true God. Ahura Mazda, love, peace, joy, kindness, goodness. And as you restore his image, now you're restoring your image. And now as we come together as a collective and we're putting this energy out into the world, my friends, we're changing our world with our higher ideas of God, good, of what life is, of what we are, my friends. You have a powerful role to play in this life, and you're going to find you have infinite power and wisdom available to you today.